Oh, those sly dogs. They really said, no more Arcane this year, and then went ahead and dropped an entire new Arcane-related cinematic 1 week into 2025. This is actually iconic. Yes, if you weren't aware, League of Legends tends to drop a lore-related cinematic at the start of each season, and most of the time, they are absolutely fire. Most of the time. And considering that Arcane now is the canon, then of course it makes sense that the cinematic is a continuation right from where we left off and a setup for what is to come. Ignoring LeBlanc, who's looking like she's on the other side of the peephole, we open with Mel arriving to the shore of Noxus, which, incidentally is the same exact shore where Ambessa had her encounter with a wolf. And people argue that the cinematic isn't canon. And then we jump straight into the Black Rose's ball, which on the one hand looks absolutely fantastic, but on the other, if this event is canon, then are the skins for it as well? This makes the timeline for Arcane a little confusing, considering both Renata and Ezreal, who are prominent figures in Piltover and Zon, were invited to this ball, and if the ball is canon, then where were they? I mean, Ezreal can be explained away with him being off exploring some tomb or something. He is essentially just Indiana Jones with low self-esteem and the personality of a 6th grader. But Renata is trickier. Her story is that she is one of Zon's chem barons, and so her not being included in Arcane was already strange. But I guess this could be explained with Renata rising up Zon directly after the chem barons were pushed out and after Piltover pulls out of Zon. Back to the dance though. This event was put together by the Black Rose's leadership for the purpose of gathering powerful people across Runeterra to trade political power and potentially scout new members for the Black Rose itself. The Silken Dance, as it is called, is being organized and hosted by Lady Elise, who was once an esteemed lady of a powerful noble house, but who went on to be bitten and transformed into a hideous creature by the Spider God, after which she was invited to the Black Rose. As the nobles dance back and forth, we see one of them making their way towards a certain noble, the masked assassin Katarina, who is one of Noxus's greatest assassins, who even killed Jorvin III, the deceased king of Demacia. And on a side note, oh boy did that create a mess. But she is here, and she has a target, and it is this shirtless guy. I don't know who he is. I don't know who he is. I don't really think that matters, to be honest, but it must be important because Elise herself showed up to defend him, and in doing so ripped Katarina's disguise apart. In the meantime, we watch Darius, the might of Noxus, drive an invading force, which is pretty on brand for Noxus. But as they move forward, they see that they are interrupted by Trundle, the king of the ice trolls and wielder of a club made of true ice. More on that later. So my man Darius waltzes up to the wait, what did they do to my boy? Did they twinkify Darius? Like first Victor and now Darius? What is Fortitia's deal with turning everyone into twinks? Oh, the French. Yeah, that explains the weirdly long sex scene. No, but seriously, they really did their best to tone down and make Darius as breedable as possible. I mean, even Trundle tries to take a bite out of it. No, but being serious for a moment, this was confirmed to be a scene from the past as part of Darius' time in the Freljord, before he became such a beefy boy and one part of the Triforix, who are the 3 leaders of Noxus, with Darius representing might. So as Noxus likes to do, they are trying to push into the Freljord to conquer the area, but the Noxian force is stopped by the king of the ice trolls, Trundle, who challenges Twinkius to a 1v1, which is how most problems are solved among the trolls. Wait, 1v1 against Trundle? Oh no, he's going to ult! Darius, run! Mel finally makes her way off the beach and walks up to a, I don't know, hangar? Wait, what is that called? Like, imagine a bridge, but like on land and upside down. What are those called? Wait, I know they have those in France. Let me just text my French friend and... An arch! So Mel walks up to an arch that depicts a battle that took place in this area. What battle specifically, we don't really know. But from what we can tell from the arch itself, the Black Rose was involved. And considering what happens to Mel right after, the Grey Legion might have been deployed as well. The Grey Legion, for those who don't know, is an army of soldiers that Noxus keeps reviving as undead over and over and using as soldiers. The arch doesn't just tell us about the battle though, as it also depicts Noxian history with their battles against Demacia, Noxian soldiers, a reference to this LOR card, the submission of the Minotaurs, along with multiple other Noxian legends. Back in the past, we get to see as Darius and Trundle go at it in the top lane, I mean in their confrontation. Trundle keeps Darius on the defensive with his big size and powerful strikes, but as soon as Darius sees his opening, he lunges forward, but in an attempt to cleave Trundle's club in two, his axe gets stuck in the true ice, and, well, remember how I told you we'd get back to what true ice is? So to cut a pretty long story short, the Freljord have their own demigods, and one of these demigods is this giant ice phoenix called Anivia. So one day, one of Anivia's brothers said, "If ice is so cool, why no ice too?" To which Anivia responded by creating ice squared. True ice is ice, but better and more dangerous in every way, which means that only certain creatures can manipulate it, or even touch it. Those beings being known as the Iceborn. And, Yetis, but we don't really have time for that right now. As we see in the cinematic, true ice corrupts anything it touches within seconds, and if a non-Iceborn were to wield it, it usually means an extremely painful death within an instant. Realizing that his axe has been claimed by the Ice Gang, Darius does what any true Noxian would do in this situation. He goes in to throw hands with the troll! What Darius didn't think about was that this troll is twice his size, and that grabbing him was a really dumb idea. What follows next is pure cinema. This is what a top lane struggle really feels like, with Trundle trying to literally rip Darius apart being a personal favorite of mine. Do it, Trundle, fuck that guy, I hate him in top lane, kill him. Is that true ice? But Trundle doesn't just rip Darius apart, because through sheer power of will, Darius picks up a true ice infested weapon and shatters it against Trundle's skull, winning the fight. Yes, Darius proves what being a Noxian is all about, standing proud against unbeatable odds, and through sheer force of will was able to keep himself alive and win the fight. And because of this, Darius is still alive, which sucks for me in particular. No, please, no, please! Oh, come on! Also, fun fact about trolls. Trolls determine their king through battles, and since Darius just beat Trundle in a 1v1, he's technically the king of the trolls now. And even if not all trolls agree with this, some trolls still bow to Darius, and will probably be joining the Noxian army. As for Darius himself though, picking up a true ice weapon comes at a great cost, and now that is a cost that Darius will have to pay, as he loses not just his weapon but also his arm. I'm assuming that we'll see a story where Darius is looking for a healer coming out soon, considering that he has 2 working arms in present day. But speaking of Darius, it's interesting that in this fight against Trundle, he showed off all 3 of the Noxian principles. He had the vision and strategy to fight Trundle in a 1v1, instead of wasting manpower in an all-out war against the ice trolls, who on average are way stronger than most men in the Noxian army. He obviously showed his might in the fight, but he also had the strategy to try and grapple his opponent when he lost his weapon. He then showed off his guile by using his opponent's true ice against him. He even utilized Ambesa's 4th principle of sacrifice in the fight and stood as a shining example of what a Noxian is supposed to be. Jumping back to Mel, we see as he explores the arch and takes in the information that's presented on it, when suddenly everything goes dark. I've seen some different takes on what this actually is. Some people think it's an illusion, which makes sense given that LeBlanc is an illusionist. Others think that it's a vision that Mel is having, but personally, I think this is definitely LeBlanc using her Shadow World ability that we saw in Arcane. I'll admit that this part is definitely more up for interpretation, but my reasoning for this is because Mel specifically fights against the Grey Legion and Vladimir's Blood Cultist, 2 groups that work specifically for the Black Rose and thus would probably be employed by LeBlanc, and that the general public doesn't really know about. I can also see the argument that this is just a vision, but then my follow-up question would be, why? And also how? 2 questions that we don't really have any answers for yet. So until it's proven wrong, I'm going to assume this is LeBlanc delaying Mel's arrival. I mean, we can clearly see that she's keeping an eye on her with the wolf in her rune room. Mel absolutely girl bosses, gaslights, and gate smashes her way through the entire army by simply walking forward, which goes incredibly hard, by the way, all the way until she smashes the gate of Noxus Prime, and she's back to reality with the Immortal Bastion in clear view. By the way, if you're wondering what any of the places I just mentioned are, you can find out by watching this video right here, where I go over all of it. Speaking of the Black Rose though, we jump back into the Silken Dance, where we now watch a full-on fight between the assassin Katarina and Lady Elise. And the choreography? Oh my god, Give whoever directed this cinematic a raise because Katarina goes absolutely crazy in it, taking perfect inspiration from the game with her spins, but incorporating them in a way that makes her fighting style look absolutely stunning was an absolutely incredible idea. Having her big movements create a distraction for Elise and even the audience while she moves closer to her real target and even gets the kill. It was so expertly done that I almost didn't catch the kill when I first watched the cinematic. Enraged and recognizing just how dangerous the assassin in front of her really is, Elise goes for her ultimate move and transforms into her true form. And remember when I said Elise got transformed by the spider god? I meant fully transformed into a full-on spider queen. And what does Katarina do in this terrifying situation? She fucking smirks! Because in her anger, Elise has just exposed herself and the Black Rose. Oh, and I can't wait to see what the fallout from this is going to be. With that, the music ends and so does the cinematic. Except it doesn't, because this time we have a post-credit scene that serves as a prelude for the Noxus series we'll get soon. And it starts with the immediate introduction of LeBlanc. And girl, may I just say, what a glow up! First, this shadow version in Arcane, and now this new redesign. I mean, just look at this compared to the version we have in League. Actually, I don't think we should ever talk about the version we have in League again. LeBlanc seems to be working out some sort of plan in her runes when the random vampire guy Vladimir walks in. If you're wondering who these people are, you can watch this video where I go over it. As Vlad comes in, I can't help but notice how hot he is. How hot he is. Fuck, how hot! Ah! As Vlad walks in, he mentions how they should make use of the opportunity that just washed up on their shores. Which is obviously Mel, but LeBlanc doesn't agree. She views what happened in Piltover as a lesson, and because of this, their next move has to be bolder. With that, she proposes a new plan to Vladimir. A plan so diabolical, so evil, so genie! It's a sword with an eye on it. Like, there's a sword and it has an eye in the middle. And Vladimir absolutely hates this plan! No, but in all seriousness, this symbol can mean a myriad of things. The first option, which I personally believe in, is that this is referring to a Darkin. For those of you who don't know, the Darkin are basically these uber-powerful demigod warriors, who, through centuries of warring with each other and altering their own bodies with blood magic, gain monstrous power, as well as a desire to conquer the world, or in some extreme cases, watch it burn. But thousands of years ago, they were all sealed into their own weapons as a way to keep them under control, doomed to live in eternal darkness, forever frozen in iron with nothing but hatred to keep them company. This would definitely fit in as something that would make Vladimir go, "Oh hell no! Oh hell no!" Especially considering that he learned his own blood magic from the Darkin, and thus has had first-hand experience with them. Plus, you know, a sword with an eyeball on it, that's kind of like the most obvious Darkin imagery that you can have. Another option could be Riven's blade. Riven was one of the elite soldiers who were sent to invade Ionia, but due to witnessing the horrors of the war she was bringing to Ionia, she decided to desert Noxus, taking with her a magical rune weapon that Noxus really wants to have back. This is a character that is 100% guaranteed to be a main character in a future Arcane-like show, so I won't spoil too much of her story. But it is worth mentioning that for the longest time, we've never actually known why the Black Rose wants the rune sword back so badly. But considering what happened to Atakan in the last Mordekaiser comic, what if they're planning on using the sword to seal a powerful demon that LeBlanc wants to use against Mordekaiser? Or what if they've already sealed a demon in the sword and that's why they want it back so badly? Another option, of course, is that this is a completely new thing, just like the Arcane back in, well, Arcane, and all of our theorizing will be for nothing. But given that this option is boring, I'm going to ignore it until I've been given substantial proof. Look at the blade shape! It's part of Glad's halberd! They're going after the great High Commander of the 1st Legion, 3rd Multiplication Double Admiral Artillery Vanguard Company! Oh no, LeBlanc, don't you know that you don't mess with Yordles? Stay jinxed.